How you doing? Welcome to the channel. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. I've put it off, let's be honest. But what I'm going to do is take you through what I've been up to in the last few months. I've been out and about with the camera more than ever. I haven't really been recording what I've been doing, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take you through each of these images and just discuss how I feel some of them have worked, and I'm going to show you some of the images that haven't worked for me, and as you can see, these are ones that I haven't posted on social media. And if you're not following me on social media, jump over to Instagram and it is The Scottish Concrete, and you'll see some of the images that I have posted. So one of the things I want to talk about is Ben Lomond. I went to do Ben Lomond for Sunrise. This was maybe a couple of weeks ago. I took all the camera gear, so I took the 16 to 35, the 12 to 24, the 24 to 70, and then the long lens of 100 to 400 Sigma. The weight in the bag was ridiculous. It was way too heavy, and that plus water plus clothes, I'll be honest, I'm quite happy with some of the images that I got on that day. I never reached the summit because, not only because of the bag, but the wind conditions started to get really bad as we got halfway up. So I'm going to talk about a couple of the images that I felt worked, and I'll show you them here. This one here, I feel like I was trying to get this kind of leading line with the foreground. The light hadn't fully came up yet. A lot of the light was actually towards the right hand side, and I started to shoot left. But what I've done here is tried to incorporate the kind of foreground element, with kind of balancing one rock on one side to another, and then your eye leading you towards the Loch Lomond. And I feel it worked okay. The light could have been a bit better. This one was probably a bit premature, just a bit early. The other image that I got here that I'm quite happy with is had a bit more colour. The sun was actually already up at this point, but it hadn't reached over the peak, and as it started to reach over the peak, I managed to get a nice bit of foreground, a nice bit of balance between the image, and a nice bit of colour as well. The last image that I got from Loch Lomond here was just on the way back down, and as I was saying, the colour was changing towards the right hand side, so I started to chase that kind of light. I feel it's maybe a bit too heavy towards the right hand side here with the foreground, but I'll share it with you and you can tell me what you think. But all in, a successful day. Would I change things? Definitely. I would be a bit more prepared. I would be a lighter bag, if I'm being honest. That was a bit too heavy, and I got to remember that if I want to reach the summit of that Munro, that's a lot of load, and I probably should have checked the conditions again first thing in the morning, because the wind chill was just, it's the worst I've had on the hills, to be honest with you. Trying to get my gloves off to take the picture was really a struggle. After that, headed home, got a couple hours kip, and then I headed into Glasgow for the Christmas markets. Now I'm going to show you two of the images that I felt really worked well for me. First off, I got to the very start of Glasgow Green. There's a big wheel there, and I quite liked the way the colours were kind of giving me kind of blue and kind of orange, and I worked into that as well when editing. Tried to add a bit of dehaze, but I've added and left the trees in here to make it quite spooky. And then we're focusing on this statue at the front here. Would have liked to have had it in the centre of the big wheel, to be honest with you. That's something that I've seen someone do, which was a lovely image that he captured. These images actually get shared with People Make Glasgow, so I'm happy with that. The second image that I got here was a long exposure, so on the tripod, using the long exposure. I think it was maybe about 5-6 seconds long exposure, trying to get the wheel as it's turning, so the the kind of fair rides, and this one worked out really well. Actually looks like a big lollipop, kind of sweetie, kind of old school, and this image is actually getting shared with Visit Scotland, so I'm very happy with that. If you don't know, sorry, Visit Scotland is like 1.4 million followers on Instagram, so it's a big page to get a share. So I'm very happy with it. The other images I've got here are Glencoe. So a couple of weeks ago, again, I think it might have been 3-4 weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, headed up to Glencoe, and I stayed. Went to Kilchurn, so I'll show you that image. For me, it didn't really work. The light was taking a while to hit. It was too choppy. The winds were too strong. I got this framing that I quite like, but I would probably revisit again. This is one place that I've visited maybe 2 or 3 times and it hasn't really worked for me. This time it was just way too windy, so there was no reflections on the water that I could use. The lighting wasn't great until I was getting ready to leave. I could have stayed a bit longer maybe, but I couldn't see the conditions changing, so I done what I could have done and headed up to Glencoe. In Glencoe, I got some nice images around at Rannochmore. I've not shared them here. What I'm going to share with you is I went and I met up with Fiona Campbell, who is a Scottish photographer who I really admire, and we headed down towards the River Couple, and that was a nighttime shot. Conditions weren't great when we first got there, but the light started to change, and then we kind of got this kind of silhouette kind of shot of the kind of buckle. Colours were great in the sky, but conditions didn't hold out for too long, so it was kind of a quick snap before heading to the hotel. I got a night's rest, and then the next morning I decided that I was going to go to the wee white house. As I headed down there, I seen a composition that I quite liked with the kind of this path. It's like a broken bridge, kind of nice foreground there, leading towards the castle. I've had to go quite wide on this shot because the colour of the sky was magical over towards the left hand side. There wasn't much happening on the right hand side, but we're getting a nice kind of light reflection heading towards the White House, and I'll be honest, I really like this shot. This is one that done quite well on Instagram as well, on social media, so very happy with that shot. And that was the last of the images I've got here at Glencoe. I'll show you the other ones that I didn't think didn't work really well for me, I don't think so. Other locations that I went to in the past few weeks have been Linlithgow Palace. So I wish I could get a wee bit closer towards the foreground here. I think this image worked quite well. As I say, is that the light was coming in quite nice. It took me a while to try and find the spot I wanted to get to here. I had to go all the way around the lock. The time I done that, I was losing a bit of light, so I kind of panicked here. I'm quite happy with the composition that I got, but where I wanted to go, there was a bad wire fence and I couldn't get down to the foreground, so I've had to make do with what I could do on that day. Another location that I went to was Loch Chong up at Loch Lomond in the Trossachs. This was changing all the time. This is probably one of my favourite locations in the last month or so. The light was just constantly changing. It was coming in from the left hand side here. I got nice reflections on the other side. And it was just forever changing the conditions. Mist was coming in, it was leaving, there was just so much happening. I spent a lot of time here because the conditions were just great all the time. And the last image I'm going to show you is just a total different shot for what I would normally take. I was leaving Rooten Glen Park, and I'm going to show you that image, but in this one I just seen the moon, and the moon was glowing, and I decided to take out the 1-400, and it was something that I've never done before, was take a picture of the moon, and I'm quite happy with how that worked out. Zoomed in, didn't focus stack it, which I could have done to get a bit more detail, but I just wanted to do it in one shot, as it was the last shot of the day before I was heading home, and I'm quite happy with how that turned out. So there's just something totally different for me. I'm normally just shooting for landscape, but I'm trying to be a bit more creative and try different things. So I'm going to take you through the kind of album of the images I don't think worked as well. I mean, I don't know, some of them I would, don't get me wrong, I'll come back to these locations. Let me grab a drink. But the one at Root and Glen, the composition on this I really like, because we've got one tree here, we've got another tree, we've got a leading line coming off the branch of the arm, and it's leading you towards the waterfall. But the colours in the sky was just so blown out here. It was like really rainy, misty day. I thought it would have worked a bit better, but I'm still I'm unsure of it. I have pinpointed this location, and I will be going back when I think the sun's going to set just above the waterfall. So this is just about future planning for this location for me. The other ones I took, this kind of tree up at the Rannochmore in Glencoe, tree on the right hand side, mountain on the left hand side, a lot of snow on the top, a lot of mist coming in. It's a nice shot, but there's not enough happening in the sky. The sky is just totally blue, and we're just not getting any cloud. If there was a bit of cloud on this, I think this image would be so much better. The next one I've got here is just a woodland shot. So this was when I was up at Loch Chon. I kind of drove past and I kind of seen these interesting trees. It was nice and misty, and I went in here and I took this image of this woodland. I'm not sure on it. I just think there's maybe not enough happening. It's quite a busy scene. There's not a lot happening on the foreground here that's kind of drawing you in, but I do like this kind of tree from the left hand side leading you over to the right, and then that's joining over to the one on the right hand side. But I don't know, I'm unsure on it. Again, just can comment and let me know what you think. The other ones I've got here are from Kinlochleven. So I stopped at Kinlochleven when I was in Glencoe. I stopped at the Greymare's Tail, which is a lovely waterfall. Don't get me wrong, if you're going into this waterfall, please be careful, because you're on a kind of wire bridge to try and get in close. And I never went to go in close because I knew it was going to be slippy. I was in a rush to go to another location, so I just kind of sat back and tried to take a picture. And I don't know, I don't think it's, again, the lighting wasn't the best in this location at the time, but I just feel like there should be something more leading you towards the foreground, leading you towards the waterfall, sorry, with the foreground. I've tried to balance it quite nice, but I just feel it's a bit monotone, and I don't feel there's a lot happening. This is something that I would go back to, different location. Sorry, same location, different time. So, the other two I've got here, or sorry, three here. Got another image from Glencoe. This is a drone shot. I was down at the Three Sisters and just decided to fly the drone up. I tried to use the road as like a leading line to take you in to where the bit of lighting is, but I just feel it didn't work. Too bright a day, not enough kind of light bouncing off the main subject that I would like. So again, a nice image, but definitely could be better conditions. I feel like you could draw your eye more towards the Three Sisters in that one. The other ones I've got here are in Glasgow. So one of them is standing at Buchanan Street, underground, and I quite like the way the sun was hitting. The sun was really, really harsh here, so I've had to be at like, I think the shutter speed would be in the thousands. Let me double check that. It's not giving me info. That's not giving me it, but I think it would be. I think it was in the thousands because the sun was just so harsh. But I like the way the light's hitting off the green of the subway, and it just shows you the kind of hustle and bustle of kind of Glasgow. Two people standing talking, one going down to subway, another one on her phone, but maybe a different time. I feel it was just maybe too harsh a lighting. The last one here is the reflection. That would have been this weekend. I went into Glasgow and the sun was just coming up, and I seen the kind of nice reflection bouncing off this JP Morgan building. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel if the water was a wee bit smoother, I'd be able to get a better reflection. Still very blue kind of colour. I've tried to adjust the white balance on this and it still didn't seem to grab my attention. So this is one that I do quite like, but I might need to play about with it a wee bit more. So yeah, that was me just taking you through a couple of images of where I've been over the last few months. I've said in the last at least 2 months I have been out more with the camera. Hopefully now this will be me. You'll start to see more videos coming from me, where I'll take you out into the field with me. I'll talk about the camera gear, and I'll even maybe do reviews on certain gear that I have, whether that be drone, camera, or what type of lenses that I use. So just thought I would do this. I posted a short on the channel and people seem to like it and I'm quite happy with that. So hopefully that'll be me. Speak soon.